on vacation. Yeah! How about world this nervous? Black Adam, we should talk.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah.
Where the heck is Lenny?
I don't know. He's late. We need to
Again?
do the show. Traffic? I don't know. It's late. It's time for the show. We should.
Whoa. I should do this more often.
Shall we?
So, comic book guys and gals, not only are we going to give you our spoiler review of Black Adam, but we were able to connect with a renowned movie critic to give his thoughts on the film. You'll also get comic book recommendations from top Shazam fan Dave. All right? So, you have been warned. Spoiler warning. All right, guys, we're in spoiler land right now.
Okay.
So, I just want to start off with one thing. Part of the movie in the beginning was this kid, the daughter, or rather the son of the, what was her name? Adriana or something like that? The one who
Adrian,
was
yeah,
kind
I
of
think
like,
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah Shahi's the character.
I don't like that kid. I think every time he opened his mouth, I mean, I didn't care about him. And every time he opened his mouth, I didn't think his narration was, I don't know, it just didn't hit me.
That was a weird choice. Yeah, weird
Yeah,
choice.
don't you think? I mean, so
Yeah.
I said,
Should have been The Rock during the intro.
I'm saying it's kind of like, all right, I don't care. Plus he was like doing all this type of stuff, trying to, get through stuff and, help his mother out, getting people through the intergang, stop, car stops and all that stuff like that. And I just felt like I wanted to give the kid the back of my hand. I mean, I just didn't like the kid. That's number
Yeah.
one. And
Totally
the second
agree.
thing I just want to say to start off with from a spoilery situation is, I don't know. It just hit me the wrong way that Black Adam kind of, how can I put this? I know his wife and son were dead. And when he technically died for a minute or two, whatever it happened to be, he sees them and his son says, it's not your time yet. And that's when he goes back, and becomes kind of the
Oh, yeah,
semi-hero.
right.
But when I'm sitting there, I'm saying to myself, why is he listening to this woman? I know she saved him. All right. So maybe you owe her a little something, but he paid it over so many times. So I'm sitting there saying to myself, would Black Adam really do this? I mean, continually, to me, it just hit me the wrong way. I thought he could help her out a little bit, but that was really kind of an underlying story. There was his apparent affection, as he could have be affection about it could be have an affection for somebody, for this woman and her son,
And
and
this
it just, to me, I just thought it was a little bit too much.
was based on the series 52. In that comic book series, she becomes his wife, and she's imbued with the powers
Now
of ice.
that's what I was
Are-
waiting for. Yes.
Right.
Maybe in the
I thought
sequel.
I thought they were heading that way too.
Yeah, Joe, I'm with you. Where I thought they were going with her, again, I think this speaks to your point. We needed more time. We
Yeah.
needed to see his relationships with these characters develop and build. And I wish we'd gotten to see that.
Because it seemed logical to me that that was what was going to happen, that he was going to start to, they were going to be a thing, and it never really got to that point.
Black
So,
Adam 2? We'll see.
probably.
That's been my main issue with this movie, and you guys mentioned it previously that you can cut out a lot of stuff, but I would cut out stuff not because of time, but because they never paid off. There's a setup, like there was a setup between Cyclone and Atom Smasher about to, like, oh, there's something going on there. It was really awkward. That could have been cut out. You never see the payoff of that scene, so that could have been out.
I've got another one for you, Lenny. How about Eternium? They indicated this is the one thing that could hurt Black Adam.
Right.
And they
There's
really
no
didn't do
payoff.
anything with that as a weapon against him later.
True.
Which surprised me. That was kind of his kryptonite. And they
Right. I thought, like, again, I thought that was the setup for that. Okay, he does have a weakness that humans can exploit, but they never paid that off.
Well, one quick comment. I had indicated during the non-spoilery part that I thought that the jokes kind of didn't do anything for me. The funniest part was when he woke up and he was destroying all the posters, the poster faces and stuff of the Justice League of America. I thought that was great. I would say, yeah, look at that. That's going to be the next movie. That was good. That I liked.
That was good. But there's a scene that you can also cut out because the payoff was there, but was poorly set up. It was the good, the bad, and the ugly homage.
Did that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Did that scene work for you?
No, that could have. It didn't work for him because it was like he just saw the TV, blew it up, and that was it. It's like, I mean, if he actually sat and actually tried watching TV because it's a brand new technology he's never seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, you're setting this character up as a fish out of water story for his character, but it was poorly set up.
Well, the whole idea was he was seeing the guy shooting, and he's trying to stop the guy from shooting, I guess.
Yeah, but like I said, did you need that movie for him to do that? No, because the setup was poor. Like if it made the him watching that movie kind of special for like a few beats, then then that whole thing that he did would have paid off.
A couple more minutes, maybe where her son is explaining it, or her brother, and they're talking about it, and he's like, that needed to breathe. I felt that way about the first hour.
But so like I said, a lot of that stuff could have cut out, but not because of time, but it's because they either didn't pay off or it slowed down the scene as an editor.
Lenny, but I thought of you in the scene where
I always think about
they were going after Adriana's son, and he was going, I guess, running down the stairs. And that editing was so fast, and I don't mind fast editing. I do it myself at times, but it felt like they're just like, okay, 1 second. We will not hold for longer, whether the audience gets the information or not. It almost felt like it was on a metronome, and it was just so quick that, I was like, maybe you could do that a little differently.
I think something about Hollywood is still attached to when Born Identity made fast cutting more exciting for that movie, but that like I said, that's an old technique. I think it's outdated now because now we're seeing people like Keanu Reeves doing his actual moves, and they're made with coupled with amazing choreography. Don't cut, actually let let the action speaks for itself, not just like
Right.
because cuts are there to hide stuff for the
They
most
are.
part.
Yes.
And you know, I think it's a very outdated technique that I think we should move away from because it's jarring. It's like you said, it's like 1 second cut, 1 second cut, 1 second cut. So I do agree. So
Yeah.
Right. Don't you
um,
believe also that the action scenes in some ways were, I mean, I love the action scenes, don't get me wrong. Okay. I think they
Yeah.
were great. I think
mhm.
seeing Black
Yeah,
Adam on the screen was the best part, you
Yeah.
know, with some JSA stuff also. But some of it seemed almost kind of like repetitive type of stuff, you know? Like
It was.
I think that goes to what you said in the non-spoilery uh, side of this thing, Dave, where you said that you love the action scenes, but maybe you could have gotten rid of some of it so you can develop some more of the movie because some of
hmm
them seemed like repetitive. You know, he was doing the same
right.
thing over again. It was, I
Yeah.
mean, great. It was great video, you know,
It's cool.
great
Yeah.
effects, but you know, we already saw him like in knocking down helicopters or planes or what have you, or scooters, you know, the super scooters and things like that.
Well, he
So
fought.
I mean,
Yeah,
so to me, that was something that maybe should have been thought out a little bit more.
I think that script needed one more polish. And you know, like
Yeah,
he fights the soldiers, and then he's fighting the soldiers again. Then he's fighting the JSA. Then he's fighting the soldiers. Then he's fighting the JSA. And you know, like they, like I
look,
said, they
Dave,
could have dialed it back a little.
the David, the man was too busy trying to get Henry Cavill's contract in order for him to be Superman again, right? He's too busy for another revision of a draft, all right? So leave the guy alone, all right? He's doing too much.
Dwayne Johnson didn't write the film. I'm not putting this at his feet.
But
I
let me
mean,
get down to one nitty gritty thing that you know, because it's just the way my mind works. You know, to me, it would seem that you could look at a movie, a book, whatever, you could look at it in a couple of different ways. You could look at it as pure entertainment. You know, you got this guy and he's beating up people and whatever else, and maybe he has a love interest. And there's some people think a cute kid. I think a kid I want to slap, maybe, but the cute kid that's there.
You heard it
But
here
to
first,
me,
guys. Joe is abusive.
I'm abusive, right?
only
You know,
if you're
well,
annoying.
sometimes,
Only if you're
yeah,
But
annoying.
all
only
Mark.
to
right,
Only
all
if
right.
you're
kids.
annoying.
Only to
I want to
children.
reprimand them. I just get Bruno after him. But to me, what was the same thing with a comic book? What was the real underlying theme of this movie? To me, what it seemed that it was supposed to be, but it didn't quite hit that home run, was what does it really mean to be a hero? Because
That's
you've
exactly what
got
the theme is.
the JSA, right? Heroes, quote unquote, but they were criticized by the people in conduct because you know we've been under under this rule. You
hmm
have never come here and all this stuff like that. You've got Black Adam, who clearly has some issues, right? But they see him as being a hero. What does he see himself as? You know,
Right.
and how does that get to be? So towards the end, it seems that he's especially he destroys
The throne, yeah.
so he destroys that when they said he should sit in it, he destroys it. That was meaningful, right?
It
But to
was.
me, it was kind of like in his mind, he's kind of coming to some sort of realization of who he is and what he should be doing, at least with respect to
hmm
conduct in this country. So you have all this stuff going on here, you know, with bad people, good people, but we think you're bad even though you think you're good. This guy's bad, but he's good for us. So what does it mean to be a hero? And I think that could have been, I don't know if developed is the right word,
Explored.
but I think if they kept that in mind, I mean, that could have been kind of drawn out a little bit better, you know,
Right.
than it was. At least that's my impression of the movie and how it was written and what have you. It goes back to the story was perhaps not the best written story, you know, because I don't know how many people thought of that. It was right there. I don't know how many
Yeah,
people
I
thought
thought,
of
yeah,
that
yeah.
because it didn't
Yeah.
really come out as well as it could have, I guess.
Well, and something that happened at the end that sort of struck me strangely is when Adriana kind of defended him and said, his darkness is what we need.
Yeah.
But at the end, I mean, yes, I guess killing Sabak was a demonstration of darkness, but that was controlled rage at a demonic creature who meant to slaughter and rule in a
Right.
malevolent way. I thought it showed that he became more heroic at the end. And the most heroic act I think that he made was when he willingly gave up his powers. That and said, you know what, I'm not a hero. I'm
Yeah.
I'm doing things that aren't necessarily the best. So I'm going to give this up because I wasn't a worthy champion. My son was. And then heroic when Dr. Fate basically told him, I believe in you and you can be this. So when Adriana kind of said, but it's
Right.
his darkness, I was like, I don't know that we necessarily needed that. Whatever. Maybe people interpret it differently. That was my read on it. Um, but yeah, I'm with you, Joe.
I'm glad you brought up that scene, Dave. Sorry to mean to interrupt, Joe.
No,
That's
no.
okay.
Because I think that also signified, like, him being a hero does not mean that he has to have powers. Like, he could transform, but he's still, with his heart and determination to help JSA, to go out there and fight Sabak. Because he had to do it. He had to reach the surface to be able to say Shazam, right? To
Right.
transform again. He could have
Amazing
just said,
moment.
like, oh, I don't,
Amazing.
yeah, he could have just, like, oh, I don't have my power. Sorry, I can't help. But his hero comes from his heart and determination. And I love a couple of Snyder slow motion homage to 300 on that scene. I mean, it was overdone, but I think having that dramatic moment of, like, justified the use of the slow motion, because he didn't. That was the first time we saw him without his powers.
Yeah.
And I think writing wise, I do give them props for having really strong subtext. The subtext of the movie kind of surprised me about foreign policy and occupation of the
Yeah.
Middle East. And I was surprised, and I was kind of intrigued that they actually went in that direction.
They did.
But I do get why they didn't want to give an answer for those questions either, because
Well,
there's just a movie. They don't want to be political, but so.
well,
But they
But
had more
I
of that, don't you think?
it
They had
doesn't
very
exist.
little. Go
It
ahead.
doesn't exist in terms of the superheroes. I mean, if superheroes were real, the stuff they'd be dealing with, like, it was the whole Superman 4, where Superman, like, rids the world of nuclear
right,
weapons. When you dig too
right,
deeply into real world issues in politics, it doesn't work because ultimately Superman isn't real. Yeah,
right. But they do bring up a good point, though. Like, yeah, the Justice League are around, but they've never come to this side to
right.
help us. Which is,
Sure.
I've never seen that question really posed anywhere else. Uh,
I've got a great comic for you, honey.
I'm sure you do,
I do.
but but it does also connects to what Joe said previously about the theme of what does it mean to be a hero. It's like, because there's really, I don't know, it's like it's almost subjective what a hero means, because, like, from the people of Conduct, revenge, from the oppression, whoever can deliver that
Sure.
vengeance is a hero.
Right.
But JSA is like, no, we they even brought up, our justice system, right? I think Hawkeye was like, yeah, this these people need a fair trial, but they didn't find that heroic. But even though from our eyes as Americans, yeah, that's heroic. So
Right.
I mean, I
Right.
do give, yeah, maybe the writing's not the
Effective.
best, but they do have some good subtext that I do appreciate when I watch the movie.
No,
So
there was some very good writing in the film. There are some things that I thought could have been strengthened, but yeah, no, I agree with you. There were definitely moments that they nailed it.
Well, don't you think also that the occupiers was Intergang, I guess, you know,
yeah.
Yes.
don't you?
But the fact that you said
There
I
was
guess, like, that's where I'm like, they could have dug into that a little bit more. Like,
Did,
exactly. They
explain
they
that.
should have
Yeah.
showed them doing more atrocities or something. I mean,
Agreed.
when you
100%.
saw, I mean, so yeah, they were occupying it, but if you saw the way they treated the kid,
Yeah.
you know, you almost thought
And
that they weren't that bad. I mean, so I think one of the things that you would want
it
to
was,
see is why is it so bad, other than the
yeah,
occupation, which in of itself would be bad. You
of
don't have
course. Of
freedom,
course.
right.
but what else are they doing that makes these people really hate them as
Yeah.
much as they seem to? It wasn't there.
that is the fault. That is a fault of this movie. Is it's a big faux pas in writing that, um, don't say it, show it. The kid did tell him that, hey, he had that massive speech, like, because he was being a distraction, so that they would let the uncle, or
Yes.
his uncle, to pass through. But he's like, he was listening out. Okay, you guys occupy us. You guys make us wait in lines, and but yeah, like Joe, yes, that should have been shown, all the stuff he
Yeah.
mentioned. But let's just have this kid, say all that stuff rather than show it.
And I'll tell you what, and this is sometimes not a good thing to do as a critic, sort of like rewrite it for them. But if they'd had him get really raw and emotional, like, I have family members who disappeared and I never see him again, and like really get into the atrocities, and then have that guard be like, who cares? Shown up. That could have worked better. But I agree with you, Lenny. It'd be better to show them like dragging people up, shooting people.
Yeah.
Now that's disturbing, and maybe there's a concern about an R rating. But yeah, I want to see, like, when Black Adam first started like taking out the soldiers, I think that was kind of like a stand up and cheer moment for a lot of the audience. But for me, I'm like, I don't know why these guys are so terrible. Like, I really like, I want to hate him. So when he does it, that's when I'm cheering, as opposed to, well, it seem like they're bad dudes. So okay, like, I'm with you. That's where development and exploration and expanding the story and characters mattered. So I don't think it hit emotionally on some of those scenes the way it could have.
Right. I mean, like any action, because I did like that one of the Quicksilver action scene where, in the beginning, where they played Back in Black. Oh, no, Painted Black. Sorry, Painted Black. But like you guys mentioned, that should have been coupled with a dramatic element to make that awesome visual, stunning action piece more meaningful. Like, the only reason why I really love in BVS, Batman vs Superman, the warehouse scene, not just because, hey, I'm watching Batman do stuff that I've seen in comics or in video games, but it was the first time when he was doing something for Superman. He regained his mother. Heroism.
Yes.
Martha.
Why did you say that name?
Because the whole movie was about him. All right, he's in my crosshairs. He's done. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Superman is done. That was in his mind the whole time, and then he realized he was played by Lex, and then he had this incredible action piece that gave it more meaning for me because of those details in the movie. Which, you got to couple these action scenes with dramatic elements, bookend them with dramatic elements.
Okay. Well, we've been going for a while. I think we've given people, but I want to end up with asking you guys to rate some of the characters, the actors or anything that are here.
Okay.
So let's start with the kid. I don't know what his name is. I don't care what his name is. I give him like a thumbs down. What do you guys think about his acting and his
well, can I say this first though?
Yeah, don't make it too big. Just something really quick.
No. But I'm saying, let's keep in mind though, the kid actor had nothing to do with this except for doing what he was told to do by the script.
But he didn't do it well.
By the director.
He didn't do it well.
Yeah, but the director's fault for saying, okay, let's go with that, because directors do decide what.
I don't see the director. I see the kid. So
I know, totally. But I'm saying, because actors do get a lot of hate because people don't realize we're just actors. We're not the characters that you hate on screen.
Right.
But I do get it because the kid was written as like, he was like always hyper. He had to say like 50 billion things in one sentence.
He had an important part too. He was a narrator, and I didn't think it came across that way.
Yeah, and that was the director's choice too. That was not choice. It could have been the mother that did that intro. It could have been even The Rock did the intro, right? I think those characters would have justified the exposition.
I'm the only person who abuses this kid here.
No, Joe, I'll help you hold him, but You're the one that's going to be doing the punches, all right? That's going to be doing the punches, all right? So
And I will
Punching
be the one
anybody.
calling the police.
because yeah,
I'm nonviolent.
Yeah, you've been
Bruno and me are two different people.
You've been hanging out with Bruno too much. You get off that a little
Go
bit.
ahead, Dave. Go.
I didn't love the character. I don't blame the actor at all. Like honestly, one part of the film that I think kind of had me rolling my eyes a little bit was when they made like the skeletons arise from the ground kind of out of nowhere when he
Yeah,
became,
yeah, that
became
wasn't that
Sabak.
great.
And then
Yeah,
the kid comes
that's
up
not.
and does this, and I'm like, this is striking me as pretty corny right now.
Yeah, it was.
What are we waiting for?
I didn't know he was a Jay-Z fan. This is Jay-Z's thing.
Yeah, it was. Look, I thought they should have used that character in different ways. That's my opinion.
The one thing else that got me at the heart in the movie is when the kid tripped and his bag of comics just flew into the streets, and I'm like, why aren't those bagged and boarded? What are you doing?
That's why Joe doesn't like him. That's why.
No, I really hate that kid, Joe. I agree.
I didn't want to say
that
anything.
Kid should be beaten up. That kid should be beaten up, Joe. I totally agree
What
with
the
you.
hell?
Now I see what you meant.
Now you get it. You get it now.
Totally. He doesn't bag and board his books.
Come through with that pretty fly, and you finally figured it out.
I've seen the thunderous light.
All right. So what about Adriana, Sarah Shahi? Was that her name?
Yeah, Sarah.
Adriana. What about her as a character in the movie? What do you guys think?
Her character is very easy on the eyes.
They should have done more with her. I can almost almost say that for every character in the film. Almost. They should have done more.
Almost, but you're right. She was important. And if she ends up being his wife in, number 2, they should have had some other, a little bit more there. And that's where you develop kind of what's happening there. Why is she the leader of this revolution? Or one of the leaders
she's
of kind of this revolutionary area.
Again, she's just...
but her, I'm sorry, but her acting, I think she did a good job.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was limited a bit by the script and what she was asked to do.
Yeah.
Well, limited by she's just the vehicle for exposition because she has the cultural knowledge, so she was just caged into that role. So
it did feel like they just used her to advance the story at times. Like she just happened to know where the crown was. She just happened to know how to free Black Adam, or read the inscription, the incantation. So she was almost there to perform things because they needed to happen. So at times she was more a device rather than a character. That's not the actor's fault. And I do think she had her moments where her character did shine, but at times, more of a device.
Yeah. Okay. We already spoke a little bit about Cyclone and Atom Smasher, but let's give them some sort of again, the characters themselves, and you could get into the acting a little bit. What about those two characters and the actors that played them?
They were doing something with. They were trying to hook them up, but it didn't really work for me because there's no, like I said earlier, there's no payoff to that. But with Atom Smasher though, I think he had one of the best moments when he kind of figured at the end when he was like telling Black Adam, hey, what did he say? Like they had he and Black Adam had a moment, but I can't remember what was that moment. They had a moment at the end, like, hey, join our team or something like that.
And the reason they did that,
but
in Black Rain, the comic JSA Black Rain, in JSA, Atom Smasher and Black Adam initially hated each other. Then they became close, and Atom Smasher became Black Adam's ally in taking over Kondak.
Gotcha.
To the point where killing.
But wait a minute. Wasn't that, maybe I've got it wrong, but when Atom Smasher is telling him join their team and stuff like that, Black Adam says, yeah, I love teams. And Dr. Fate turns to him and says, sarcasm? He says, yes.
Right.
So that was a setup for like a joke.
Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that the time when it happened?
Right.
No, that was early
based on the
end of the film. When Black Adam,
but I'm actually referring to a moment at the very end of the movie when when Atom Smasher had Atom Smasher's character was also trying to figure out what it's like to be a hero because he's the newbie. It's like, I thought
Right.
Hero was just doing what my uncle did, which Henry Winkler. I love.
Yeah,
I
that
love.
was
I
bad.
love him.
Awesome.
That was good. He
I
produced
didn't
my
like it.
favorite.
All I kept thinking about is the Fonz when I saw him,
I am the new Batman. The next Batman movie stars me, Henry Winkler, as Batman.
Very.
That hit me as a favor. I'm going to give Henry Winkler a favor and put him in this movie. So that's the way it kind of hit me.
But yeah, like
That's great.
yeah, he was all like I said. Adam Smasher was also trying to just to ride on that theme on what it's like to be a hero.
But Cyclone, I thought was great.
She was.
Yeah.
I liked her powers,
Fantastic.
what she did. She seemed to have it together.
And the effects for her powers were amazing, So
Was it?
they really did a good job with the visual effects for her character.
I
Right.
thought she was fantastic. I wanted to see a bit more of the character. I wanted to learn a bit more about the character. You don't have to give me 20 more minutes, but maybe 2 minutes. Like I said, keep going back to that theme. Give me more of them. Develop them more, so I care more about them. But I thought she was
cut
great.
that little meet cute scene, in exchange for more development.
So now I already mentioned in the non-spoilery, my feelings about Dr. Fate and Hawkman and wanting a little bit more about that. I love the two characters, especially Brosnan as Dr. Fate.
Oh,
but Hawkman, they were different, but they clearly had a relationship. I like both of them. I would like to see more of them. I wouldn't mind seeing an HBO Max limited series that goes back and shows them together and why they were the way they were in the movie. I just thought they were great.
I mean, Hawkman, Aldous Hodge, I think his name, but
yes, that's right.
He looked great as Hawkman because like he had those amazing eyes that would just go through the mask or the helmet. I'm sorry. But in the beginning, I really wasn't a fan of his character in the beginning because like, man, this is your leader who's trying to like, de-escalate their meeting with Black Adam, but then he say, "Oh, we're gonna make you a prisoner. You're gonna surrender." It's like,
kneel. He told him to kneel. I was like,
that, yeah, but that's this guy, this Black Adam has a god complex, and you're gonna say that, and you knew about that because of it. You had the historic briefing with Amanda Waller. So, and this is the best thing you can come up with to bring him in is just like goad him to a fight, and he did that a couple of times too. Like,
yeah,
he was like, okay, diplomacy doesn't work. Okay, let's fight. I think he did that twice in the meeting in the temple and in the apartment.
The apartment, yeah.
But I turned around. My feelings turned around when he had that moment with Dr. Fate and Smash and Hawkman when Dr. Fate knew, okay, it's gonna be me who's gonna die, not you. And he put that shield, and Hawkman was like desperately trying to break through the force field. I think that was a great moment, and there were some good moments between the two of them leading to that.
Yes.
So yeah, but at the beginning I didn't care much for Hawkman. But
what was strange for me with Hawkman is how different they made him act from the comics. Because in the comics, Hawkman is like, he's willing to kill. He's violent.
Yeah.
He's intense. So, the whole heroes don't kill coming from Hawkman it worked for the movie. It was great. The character was great. It just struck me as very different from the comics. And the point where Dr. Fate basically said, hey, Hawkman, you're the one who's going to die. And Hawkman was like, I don't fear death. I was waiting for him to say, because I come back. Hawkman always is reincarnated in the comic.
I was waiting for that too. Yes.
I was like,
yes.
Who cares if Hawkman dies? He's going to come back.
Yes.
In another time.
Like,
That's right.
Exactly. Time. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
But in the film, they didn't allude to that. So that was a whole separate. He was definitely different in those two respects from the comics. I thought the actor was terrific. I thought the way they handled the character was cool. It was just different, making him more like heroes don't kill a peaceful Hawkman was something I wasn't necessarily expecting.
So before we get to Black Adam, I got one more thing I want to ask you guys because it kind of hit me. Amanda Waller. All right. Suicide Squad, right? You're thinking, I'm saying, why is Hawkman taking directions from Amanda Waller? So I'm not sure if that's going to be developed somewhere, like what that connection is in like one of the future movies, hopefully. But if you're talking about Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. Just bear me out here and tell me what you think about this. And an eventual, as the Rock says, Black Adam versus the Justice League. Wouldn't have been cool, maybe cooler, instead of having Amanda Waller do that, let's say having Batman do that? You know, saying, hey, da 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 da, you know, I could bring somebody that I know people from Off-World that come there. And so Batman at the end, you know, in the mid-credit scene, introduces Superman. But then you'd have Batman in the front in the beginning too, you know, potentially, you know, doing that. So to me, it was like, I don't know if Batman's the right person, but that at the end scene, you know, the mid-credit scene, I said, oh my God, if that was Batman, I could send somebody that I know that's not of this world, and you see Superman coming in, I'd be going, wow, that's even better, you know? So that just hit me there. I don't know if it worked in the beginning, if it would have worked in the beginning, you know, because it's JSA, JLA, but that would have been okay, right? But at the end, I'm saying, oh man, they messed this up. It should have been Batman at the end. It should have been Batman at the end. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's how I would have written it.
I mean, but then why wouldn't have Batman asked the JSA to help against Steppenwolf?
Well, that's why I said in the beginning it would have to have been Batman 2, and that would have been maybe a little bit harder to explain. But at the end, the mid-credits scene, when Amanda Waller is talking to Black Adam, and he says, "There's no one on this planet that can stop me," and he goes, "I could bring people." She says, "I could bring some people from outside of this planet or from other planets to stop you." And then Superman shows up. Imagine that was Batman selling that to him. Think of the impact at the end if it's Batman coming there and telling him that. All right. And then Superman comes out there. That to me, that would, I think what they had there was pretty much an inside the park home run. Let's say that. But if Batman had done that and Superman came up, that would have been a 450-foot home run over dead center field. You know,
I hear what you're saying, Joe.
That's just my feeling about that.
It would have been really cool. I just don't know if it would have fit as well. I saw it as a partnership. You know, they've established that Amanda Waller is not a good person and not ethical and somewhat villainous. I saw her connection to the JSA as sort of a partnership of necessity. We have this godlike being who's we know has destroyed an entire city in a blink of an eye back. We have information. You guys have experience. We're going to pool our intelligence and address it. But I get what you're saying. Batman introducing Superman's cool.
Yeah.
But since they went with the whole suicide thing,
I didn't, you know, Dave, you're right. I don't disagree with you, but I don't really give a damn. I want to see Batman there introducing Superman. I think I would have forgiven anything else about that, you know. I just to me that was like, wow, they missed it. They missed something. They missed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just me.
Bruce Wayne's coming. Don't worry. There is a, speaking of Amanda Waller, I just want to just like something geeky, like nothing really important, but there was a cool reference in the movie, and I don't know if you guys caught it. They referred to Black Adam as a weapon of mass destruction. I think that's cool because the original concept for Suicide Squad was for them to retrieve a weapon of mass destruction, and it turns out to be Black Adam. So, but I mean, obviously that never came to fruition, but that was the original concept for Suicide Squad, and I'm wondering if that was just a little nod, you know, for people who have followed, you know, the DCEU story as close as we have. So I just think that was cool to mention.
All right, so let's finish up with The Rock and Black Adam. You know, I think he just whiffed on that whole thing. Kidding. I mean, I think he really, I mean, he obviously studied it. As I mentioned in the non-spoilery part, I think that the one thing you cannot say is that he didn't understand the part and play the Black Adam. I mean, to me, he was believable as Black Adam, and I can't think of anybody else now that could have been or can be Black Adam in the DCEU.
He was phenomenal. Yeah. He was phenomenal. Yeah. If I had one thing I wish they'd done slightly differently, is that they talked about how filled with rage he was. And I guess a lot of times when he was just taking people out, he seemed very stoic. I wouldn't have mind seeing him be kind of angry when he's doing it. That's a choice. That's a director's choice. That's a quibble. Like that was just the one thing I'm like, oh, if he's that angry, let's see it a little bit more. He was phenomenal. He was great in the part. This is the role for him. And I think because of his goodwill as a Hollywood, I don't know if icon's too strong a word to use. Is that I think he's going to bring in a lot of new fans to the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah. Definitely.
And
to the character. And to the character.
Oh, into the character. Who? It's funny. I was in a comic book store yesterday. I said, "How's the Black Adam stuff selling?" And the guy went, "People don't know who he is." I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay. Let's see if that's the case in a month after people see this movie."
It's funny. I saw a kid dressed up as Black Adam. Like maybe he was like 4. He had the black suit with a big like really like a bodysuit. It wasn't just a shirt. He had a bodysuit. Huh?
Are you talking the pictures that Dwayne Johnson posted, or a kid at the movie?
No, a kid. I saw it in my theater.
Oh, okay.
So there were already
That's
kids
awesome.
dressing up as Black Adam.
That's awesome.
And I was, but just to go back to your rage comment, I think he did display rage, and in fact, there was a consequence because remember the son, the kid, he went rageful and his electricity harmed the kid in the end, right? Remember that part? So he did display a little rage, or maybe he did it for Joe. Because like Joe said, "I hate that kid. Take him out, Black Adam." And then Black Adam's like, "Okay, let me fry him up for Joe."
Yeah, he did go into a rage. He hurt the kid, and that's when he decided he couldn't be Black Adam and gave up his powers.
Now maybe it wasn't done well because it was too subtle the way it was done. But
no, I just was a little surprised he wasn't a little bit angrier when he was killing people. Maybe not the full out rage, but just. Because he was very almost.
Yeah, he was kind of indifferent. He was indifferent with his.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing,
like...
and that was interesting about that character because that character in the beginning, where he tells his son, "Don't be a hero. Graveyards are filled with people who wanted to be heroes." I thought that was amazing. In that showed his character at that point. Like he was not the right person for the powers. He was not the champion. And ultimately, he came to be something, if not the champion, a lot closer. So I thought that was really cool.
All right, so we had a special man on the street interview that we want to show right now. We got them right. Is he on? Is he on? Yeah. Okay. So it's Bruno. How you doing, Bruno? We have a few questions for you. So the first one is, what did you think of the Black Adam movie?
What did I think about the movie? I don't know. It started out so slow. I was almost falling asleep. Thank God I had that box of that thing of popcorn, that you can eat. I got the large size too, because I knew I was going to be hungry doing this movie. Anyway, but I guess it was okay. There was a lot of killing. That's the part I really liked. I liked the smacking around, the killing. That was pretty good. There was no money exchange. I mean, so for me, that's like an important part of a movie, and I didn't see anything like that there.
What about The Rock? Do you think The Rock did a good job?
The Rock? I know The Rock spent a lot of time, getting this movie together, right? But The Rock, come on, he's The Rock, right? But, he had this woman, what was her name? Adriana, I think it was. Adriana, she was like manipulating him, She was like, be nice, come on, save my son, do this, do that, And he's just doing it. So The Rock wasn't really The Rock for me. He was like a pebble, for Pete's sakes. He's like a pebble. I could have smacked him around myself, In this particular instance, he looked like he was tough when he was Black Adam killing everybody, and that part I did like. I did like that part. But he was really kind of like letting this woman and this little kid, I didn't like the kid at all, to be honest with you. I would have smacked him around a little bit. He was a real pain in the ass. But anyway, he let this woman, Adriana, lead him around like as if he was like, had a nose ring on or something like that,
That's interesting. What about the actress that played Adriana, Sarah Shahi?
So she was pretty good. She looked good, but when I finished with that movie, I said, I gotta see her looking like really fine. So I went back to my Google, and I Googled her name and got to look at some nice photographs of her, and that made me feel good. So anyway, but I gotta go back to work, guys. All right, come on. I got these tickets.
Okay. Go sell your
I
tickets.
think you want to get
That
this
was
one. Take a look
Bruno.
at this.
Yeah,
Take a
is
look. I
he
got a bunch of
scalping?
tickets, so it's for you and your friends.
Joe, is he scalping tickets?
I don't ask him what he does.
That's illegal.
He does his thing.
Yeah. We should cut this out. All right, let's cut it out.
I think he's selling them half price, so that's not really scalping. But he
Uh,
might be doing some other things that
I
might
don't
be a
even think
little
those
bit.
are legitimate tickets he's selling.
Yeah, yeah, they're like little pieces of
He just
paper.
photocopied one ticket.
What do you mean they all look alike? What do you mean they all got the same number?
What is this,
I know
scam
nothing.
artist?
I know
Okay.
nothing.
All right.
All right.
All right. He's your friend, Joe.
He just hangs out. So,
All right.
Dave, before we close up, I think everybody can see from this show that you are the Black Adam comic book expert. You're even wearing the shirt. Yeah, I see it. I see it. So
I don't know what you're talking about,
and I've
James.
read some of the stuff, some of the JSA stuff. I've read some of it, but why don't you maybe give us some books that you might recommend that people might want to, take a look at and read?
Absolutely. So if you're a big fan of the movie and you want to see what inspired this film, I'm going to recommend JSA Black Rain. I'm going to recommend, there's the series 52, but DC just published a version called Black Adam. I think it's the rise and fall of an empire. And it sort of calls out the Black Adam and Black Adam related elements from 52 and condenses it into one story. I'd recommend that. I'd also highly recommend the Jeff Johns, Gary Frank Shazam trade, which is a compilation of the backup stories found in the New 52 Justice League. Gorgeous art, great story. And for those of you who've seen the movie Shazam, I mean, it's almost beat for beat, but instead of Savannah, it's Black Adam. But those three, Black Adam, Rise and Fall of an Empire, Shazam, and JSA Black Rain. Those are, if you love the movie, you like the movie, those books are the inspiration.
So I got the JLA run. I've got the JSA run.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got the Shazam. I think most of the Shazam run. So I'm just gonna have to go find them in my collection and pull them out and take a look at them and now read them in a whole different light. So
I'll send you
thanks,
the
Dave. That's
blogs
great.
I wrote, and it lists all the comics, so it'll give you the names and numbers.
Okay, so we'll go on reggiethecollects.com and at the blog, and we'll find your two blogs, and we'll have them there. So it looks like we liked Black Adam. I think you said that you would give it. What was your rating for that, Dave? That you gave it?
Oh, you know what? I need to see it again before I give it my true rating.
Yeah,
if I was being harsh, if I was being harsh, I'd say it was a more average film and deserved a C because it didn't develop the characters well enough.
You mentioned the C and possibly a B, right? That's what you said.
If I focus on the things I like, because there are plenty of A plus moments in this, and
all right.
And if I focus on that stuff, I'd give it a B.
When I reviewed comic books, I've done a few of them online. I usually give them Brunos, all right, on a 10 rating. So I think I'd give this about 7 Brunos. I think I'd give it 7 Brunos. I think it could have been better, but it was good. I think it was a good origin story. Yeah. I think parts of it, as we mentioned, could have been better, more development. I'm a big believer, as you know, in the 3-hour multiple superhero movies. I think that would have gone a long way to curing this thing. Yeah. But we like it. We want to see it again, and maybe we'll like it better. I think that's likely, but we'll see. And so we think you guys, if you haven't seen it and you've gone through the spoileries here, go see it. Tell us what you think, and tell us in the comments.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just watch it again too, because we may have brought up points that you've never really realized, and maybe like you disagree with us after the second watch, and please comment down to why you disagree and why you agree. So
I'll tell you one quick thing why watching it a second time is extremely important. Down in Florida, we run a movie night, my wife and I, and so we look at the movies beforehand, and I do a little bit of like a Turner Classic Movie introduction, and then tell people to look for stuff, and then afterwards, But the key is when we watch it a second time, I see so many things I didn't see the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing. So if you take the stuff that we've told you about, as Pretty Fly has indicated, and go watch it a second time, whether it's now or when it gets on HBO Max, you're going to see it differently. I know I will, because I learned a lot from these two guys. So thanks a lot for everybody showing up and watching this episode of DC Watch. We'll be back with some more episodes soon. So say goodbye, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care.
All right, take care.
Again.
So we'll be in touch, I guess. All right.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right,
We'll
take
keep
it
in
easy.
touch.
Take care,
All right,
guys.
peace.
Bye.
Bye.
I see you're on your YouTube channel. You took the keys, you big dummy.